Alright, hi guys! Today we are going to be, or I should say I don't know why I keep saying we in my intros today. I will be ranking all of my highlighters. This is going to be tough, so as you can see I don't have the biggest highlighting collection. Obviously I do have some highlighters that are in face palettes and stuff as well, but I'm not including those today. I'm only going to be using my highlighting palettes as well as my single highlighters. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to rank my highlighting palettes separately. So I'm going to kind of bundle these together, and then I'm going to rank my single highlighters separately as well. So these are all of my highlighting palettes. I'm going to just kind of put these aside and we'll do those after. So I think we're going to start off with these single highlighters here. So I'm not really sure how I want to, put this down as I go along. Maybe I will just kind of put them down here in order of which I want to rank these. So I think I want to start off by just ranking them from the bottom up. So these are obviously just my opinions and how I feel about my current collection. If you love some of these highlighters and I rank them very low, that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with me and how I feel about these highlighters. And it doesn't mean that the highlighters that I'm ranking on the bottom are bad. It just means that they're not for me and I don't personally like them. So let's get into this. So the ones that immediately jump out at me that I don't really like are my cream stick highlighters. I got these sent by Betsy Johnson, and I'm just not a stick highlighting kind of person. I tried these and they're nice. I mean, they're a nice formula. I never reach for something like this. It's just like an extra step, and I'm too scared of putting cream products on top of my powder, and I always forget to do something like this before I powder my face. So for that reason, both of these are going to be on my bottom. I would say that the one that's like best out of these two would probably be the pink one, just because I like pink highlighters more than I like kind of goldy champagne highlighters. But like, they're beautiful, they're really nice, but I never reach for this. So this is going to be my least favorite highlighter. I'm going to put that there, just make sure that you can see this. This is going to be my second to last or least favorite highlighter, however you want to say that. So next up is probably going to be this Tarte's Pro Glow highlighter. This is also a cream highlighter. I just can't get on board with this. I never reach for it. I do have it just in case I want to like use it on my body or something. It's really nice for that. I've used it twice, I think, and I really liked it like on my shoulders and stuff when I did, but it's just not an everyday kind of thing for me. So that's going to be very close to the bottom as well. So let's get into all of these single highlighters now. This is tough for me because I feel like I like most of these. There are some that I don't like as much as others, and the one that I'm kind of looking at right now is going to as well be this Betsy Johnson one. And I think the reason why I'm picking out the ones that I didn't buy myself is because when I buy something myself, I know I'm going to like it, but if I receive something that I haven't picked out myself, there's a better chance that I won't like it, if that makes sense. It's not like this is a bad highlighter at all, it's just nothing special. Like, it's nice, but it just doesn't get my heart beating any faster, and it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of boring. So I'm gonna put this very low on my list as well. But like I said, none of these products are like bad products. It's just that they don't really get me excited. So next up, I'm going to choose one of my highlighters from Shop Ms. A. This is the only one I have, and the first time I tried this, I absolutely loved it. It is a beautiful highlighter, but I found it to be a little bit hard to apply. It's almost like the Super Shock shadow from ColourPop. Like, it's very much a cream formula, and it's just tough to get an even application, but it is really nice, and I could see someone who don't use this on top of powder would probably really like this. I mean, this was like $1, so it's a really nice colored highlighter. I just have a hard time applying it because I don't like applying cream highlighters underneath my powder if I'm gonna go in with a powder highlighter anyway. Like, I just don't really see the point, and I have to powder my face since I have oily skin. So anything that's like a cream product is just, I want to like it, but I just never do. So this one is ending up pretty low on my list as well. Now here is where things get really hard, because I like all of these highlighters. I would say the one that, again, is something that I didn't buy myself. I got this in a mystery bag. This is the Color Drain highlighter. This is actually a really beautiful highlighter, but the thing about this is that it's quite subtle, so it takes quite a while to build up, but it is also really nice. But it's also, you know, more on like the champagne-y side, and I don't love champagne highlighters on myself personally. And just wait, I'm going to completely contradict everything that I just said now when I get to my Emery's highlighter. But that's like the only champagne-y goldy highlighter that I absolutely love, but we'll get to that eventually. So here are my bottom 6. So I feel like I'm doing pretty good here. Like, I'm not struggling too hard. I do need to wipe off my hand though so I can keep swatching, because I'm sure y'all want to see swatches, because I know that I like to see swatches when it comes to highlighters, because anything that's just shiny and sparkly makes me really happy. So, all right, let's move on. So what's going to be next? I think the one that I'm going to say is my least favorite out of the ones that I have here. Man, this is really, really hard actually, because I like all of these. I think I'm gonna have to go with the Champagne Pop by Becca, just because it's just not really my favorite formula, but I do like the color. It's just, I don't know, I feel like it's just kind of whatever right now, and I never reach for it. It's a nice highlighter. I do like to bring this traveling because it is very small, but I just have other highlighters that again make me more excited than this one, so we're just gonna put that little baby right there. Again, it's not like I don't like it, I actually really do like this. I think my next choice is going to be the Sydney Grace Loose highlighter. This is actually quite beautiful, and I also got this one in the mystery box that I ordered. Let me see if I can get a quick swatch of this. The only reason really why this ends up being kind of low on my list is just because I haven't really used it that much, so I don't really have a very strong opinion on how I feel about this. So let's give this a quick swatch. Okay, so this is just a beautiful pink highlighter. I think this might be a little bit too light for me. I'm not really sure. Like I said, I don't remember how this applies. I've only used it once and I liked it, but I just don't have enough of an opinion to put this any higher up on my list right now. And I think next up is going to be my Oprah highlighter in Pillow Talk. I've said before that I feel like this formula is just a little bit overhyped. I don't know. I just don't love this as much as other people do. I think it is pretty, but this is definitely a little bit too icy for me, especially in the summer. This is more of like a fall winter highlighter for me because I do tan pretty easily, so when I do have a bit of a tan, this is just a little bit too light for me. It's nice, it just doesn't really excite me, so that's why that one ended up kind of low as well. Now we're gonna get into the, what are we left with, top 8. So these are all highlighters that I actually really enjoy, but I think the one that I enjoy the least out of these is probably going to be my Wet n Wild one. This one is nice, but I don't use it as often as I use a lot of other highlighters that are similar in color to this. So as you can see, this is also a pink-based highlighter, and like I said, I like this, but it just doesn't really get me like super excited. So I guess we're gonna go from this being the bottom and then kind of wrapping it around to this being the top or something like this. So I'm gonna put that right there. And another one that's going to be very similar to the Wet n Wild is this Bobbi Brown highlighter. I actually quite like this. I think the formula on this is really nice. It's not super intense upon first application, but you can really build this up to be nice and pigmented, and I feel like I just haven't used this in a while and it's got a little bit of hard pan on it. But this is very much a natural looking highlighter, but I really like the color of that. Like you can see that's not as icy as the Wet n Wild one, and this is going to look a lot better on my skin, especially now in the summer. So I do reach for this, just not as often as I would like to. I need to pull this one out a lot more because it is honestly a really nice highlighter. This is where it's starting to get hard, but the one that's kind of like screaming at me is the Master Chromes by Maybelline. I like both of these, but I just don't think that I can pick any of these two over the other ones that I have left here. So I would say my least favorite out of these two is going to be the gold one. So this one is Molten Gold. These are really nice. I don't remember who made me pull the trigger on buying these, but I bought this one first and I really like it. This one is a little bit too dark for me, like a smidge too dark, but I can make it work when I am tan like I am now. But it's a beautiful gold highlighter and I really like this. I also really like the pink one. Like this is definitely my favorite out of the two, and I don't know, this one definitely works better on my skin tone, I feel like. So, oh wow, I should have probably shaved my arm. I have so much hair on my arm. I need to shave my arm. I never really do, but now that I'm swatching, I'm like, Christ, that's a lot of hair. But anyway, this is a beautiful highlighter, and you can tell it's not like super icy and pink. It's just got a beautiful sort of peachy, but more on the pink side shift to it, and it's really beautiful. It's got a beautiful formula too. but it did not make it into my top 4. It did make it into my top 5 though, which is not bad, honestly. Now, these are tough. These are really, really tough. Oh man, this Smashbox highlighter is absolutely stunning. I just wanted to kind of show it to you because I don't know if you've seen this, but I love this. This is not going to be my number 4 spot. I think my number 4 spot is going to be this Artist Couture highlighter. I really like this. I think the formula on this is great. It's just that it's a little bit messy because it is a loose highlighter, but the color of this is so beautiful. So this reminds me a lot of the Smashbox highlighter actually, but it's just a little bit too messy. Obviously my hand is wet now because I have wiped my hand with a makeup wipe, but you can see just like the beautiful shift in that. Like it's just so stunning. It's definitely got a pink peachy shift to it. I absolutely love this highlighter. I do wish it was pressed though, which is probably why I like the 2 other highlighters here more. So this is Pinch Me by ColourPop. This is very similar. I would say these 2 are like almost dupes, and I'm excited to swatch them next to each other. So I think I'm going to say that the Smashbox one is going to be my number 3 because I like the intensity of the Super Shock Cheek from ColourPop more than I like the intensity of this one. This one takes a lot of building up, but you can definitely build it up to be nice and opaque and intense, and it's really, really beautiful. I feel like this is a more sophisticated version of the ColourPop one, if you will, because it doesn't go on as intense as the Super Shock one does. But I mean, look at that. Isn't that just absolutely stunning? And I am just such a sucker for the packaging on this as well, which is probably the reason why it ended up so high. Not really, but I am a sucker for the packaging, and I do think this is absolutely beautiful. So here are the top 2 contenders in my runner-up here, and I just wiped off the swatches that I wasn't supposed to wipe off because I wanted to swatch the Smashbox one next to the ColourPop one. Oh well. So let's go ahead and decide between these 2. This is so hard for me because this is more of like a preference thing, like which color do I like more. Formula wise, I like the ABH one a lot more because it's just so easy to work with and apply and get a smooth application, and it just looks good every time. Whereas the Super Shock Cheek is just a little trickier to get right. So I actually think that this is going to be my number 2 spot, and as you can see I have hit pan on this because I really, really love this. It's just such a beautiful color. I mean, oh, it's stunning. Like, you will see that I am a sucker for these kind of shades. I just think that they are so pretty. I don't even know how well you can see the shift on camera. I will try to make sure that I get the colors to look accurate in editing because I don't think that they are perfect right now, but I mean, I just think that this is so pretty. So this is going to be my number 2 spot, and then the Amrezy highlighter is going to be the winner actually of the single highlighters that I have because I just like this formula so much. And despite this being kind of a goldy champagne-y highlighter, I just think that it looks beautiful on my skin, especially when I have a bit of a tan, but I can also get away with using this when I don't have a tan, which is awesome. And I feel like this is just, it's so versatile. Like I can wear this color with any eye look that I do, and it's just going to look good, and that's why I like that. So this is going to be my winner out of the highlighters. So this is going to be the order in which I am ranking them. This is from the bottom, and then we go all the way around here up onto the winner. So let me know if you have tried a lot of these. Let me know if you would have ranked them differently. I feel like if I did this again in like a month, the rankings would probably be different depending on what I've been using a lot and stuff. One that I do need to use a little bit more is this Sydney Grace one, the loose one, because I want to just make sure that I give this a fair chance, but I just have a hard time reaching for a loose highlighter for some reason. So I do really like it, but I just need to play with it a little bit more. So let's go ahead and get into the highlighting palettes now. I feel like this is honestly going to be a lot easier than ranking the singles because I have a pretty good opinion on my highlighting palettes and what I like and what I don't like in them. So I think I'm actually going to declutter some of these in here as well because I don't use these stick ones, and I'm gonna give these to my sister-in-law, I think, because I feel like she might use these more than I will. And do I want to declutter anything else? I'm also going to declutter this Shop Miss A one because it's so similar to that Pinch Me highlighter by ColourPop that I don't really need this in my collection. Everything else I'm going to keep though, just because, you know, I will use them at some point, but I think I'm going to just declutter these as well just to get them out of my collection because I just never reach for them. Alright, so these are my highlighting palettes all put together. So let's start on the bottom here. My least favorite highlighting palette is this one from H&M. I think this is crap. I mean, I've tried it a few times and it's just very lackluster. It would be great to use as like inner corner shades, but it's just very powdery and just not very intense and pigmented. And I just don't like this. I can't get this to work. So that's easily going to be my bottom highlighter palette in my collection. So for the next one, I think I'm gonna have to go with this one by The Balm. I really only like one shade in here, and it's the Mary Luminizer, which is the only one that I can use because the other ones are just not really great for my skin tone. So I mean, this is a beautiful highlighter, but since I only use one in the palette, it's pretty easy for me to put this low down on my list. And I also never reach for that because it is in a highlighting palette, and usually if I am going to use a highlighting palette, it's because I either absolutely love one of the highlighters in it or because I like all of the shades and I kind of mix them, which I can't really do with that palette. So I think next up is going to be my Tarte palette. This is the Skin Twinkle Volume 2, and I think I got this in a Try Beauty box or something like this. I've tried all of them. I like them okay. They're not bad highlighters. They never get me really excited, and they're just kind of boring and bland and just, I don't know. They're just kind of boring, I guess is where I'm getting at. So I'm not even going to swatch this. It's an okay palette, but it's just not really that exciting. So next up we have this Sleek Makeup palette. I don't remember where I got this. I want to say I got this from one of my subscribers who sent me a package. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure I did. And I honestly really like this, but I don't reach for it very often, and I don't know why. So let me go ahead and swatch these. This is a cream, so I'm not going to swatch that because I just don't really like cream highlighters. But I mean, you can see the formula on this is pretty nice, but they all look very similar. And I think that's kind of why I don't really reach for it that often. And also just touching them, they're very dry. So I don't know. I need to use this more often because it is honestly like a good highlighting palette. Next up here, out of my highlighters, this is going to be one of my Dior highlighting palettes, and it's the newest one that I have. This is the, what are you called? Dior Backstage Glow Face Palette. Are these called the same thing? Yes, they are. So this is the, I don't know if this has a different name, but this is like the more neutral one. And I've used this so often lately, and I don't love it. I don't know what it is. I think maybe it's the formulas, maybe it's just me just not really liking these colors. I don't really know. This one is absolutely stunning. I love this one. This is really, really pretty. But like the other ones, I don't know. They don't excite me that much for some reason or the other. I don't really know why. But I don't know. They're just not as intense as I feel like this Dior highlighting palette is, and I feel like the formula is just not as good. So unfortunately, this is going to end up being my number 3 spot, which I'm kind of surprised by because I really like the other highlighting palette from Dior that I have, and I don't really know which one is going to be put on top here, but I think this one is going to be my number 2 palette, just because I love my highlighting palette by Lime Crime so much, and it's like the only thing that I feel like I ever reach for. So I am going to place my Dior palette here as number 2, even though this is absolutely stunning and probably deserves to be in the number 1 spot, because I use this religiously. I mean, for I don't know how long, probably like 6 months straight last year. It's absolutely stunning, and I love how I can mix some of these shades. Like I can mix the pink with the white to get a lighter pink. I can also mix the gold with the white to make a lighter gold, and it's very versatile, and I really like it. I can use this as sort of like a glowy blush as well, and I can also use this one as a sort of bronzer topper. It's a little bit too shiny for me to use for that reason, but it's just a beautiful palette, and I really like this. But the winner is definitely going to be my Opal's highlighting palette by Lime Crime, because this is my favorite, and it has my all-time favorite highlighter in my collection in this palette, and it's going to be this one right here. What are you called? You are called Peach, and this is such a beautiful highlighter. I've used this so much, and again, you can see this from the other highlighters that I had, the single highlighter. So this is kind of like the same thing as Pinch Me by Colourpop. It's got that peachy shift to it, and I am just such a sucker for a peachy highlighter. I just can't help it. But the other two in here are also absolutely stunning. I really like the formula on this palette, and I almost bought another one during the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty or whatever it's called, but I was like, you know what? I like this palette so much that I want to just keep using it and I don't need another one. So this is going to be my winner out of the highlighters. Now, the swatches aren't the best, but doesn't really matter. It just applies so beautifully on the face and I just absolutely love it every time I use it. And I also just find it to be super versatile, and the fact that I can use every single shade in this highlighting palette is another reason why this ended up being my winner, because it is just so versatile. So now if I had to choose between this highlighting palette and the single that won in my singles highlighting competition, if you want to call it that, I would definitely use this palette because again, it has 3 shades, it's just more versatile. Even though I love my Emery's highlighter, this is definitely my most precious highlighter in my collection, and if I could only keep one, this would be it because I just absolutely love this. So that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed a little ranking video. Let me know if you have tried any of these and if you have different opinions. I would love to hear them. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing, and I will see you in my next one.